All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We are going to take one of the most cherished ideas in all of marketing, and we're going to tear it down. I'm talking about the idea of the super loyal, super passionate customer. It's time we stop relying on these old myths and start looking at the cold, hard science. So let me ask you a really simple question. Think about your toothpaste. Do you love it? I mean, are you in a deep, committed, passionate relationship with your brand of toothpaste? My guess is probably not. You just buy it, right? It's probably the one you've always bought, it gets the job done, and honestly, who has time to think about toothpaste? Just hang on to that feeling for a minute. See, for decades, this has been the ultimate marketing dream, right? The holy grail. We're told to create this tribe of fanatics, these brand lovers, who don't just buy our stuff, but they believe in it. They're committed. The whole goal was to build this deep, meaningful relationship. But what if I told you the data, the actual evidence, tells a completely, and I mean completely different story? And that brings us right to our main case study, the one that really starts to pull this whole idea apart. And yeah, we're going to stick with a product we were just talking about, toothpaste. Okay, so here's the lay of the land in the US toothpaste market. You've got two big players, two giants. You've got Crest, sitting pretty with about 32% of the market. And then you have Colgate, with half of that, at 16%. Now, on the surface, that seems pretty simple. Crest is just the bigger brand. But when you start to dig into who is actually buying these tubes, well, that's where things get really, really interesting. Okay, check this out. When you break down Colgate's customers, a massive 74%, almost 3/4 of their sales, comes from what we call switchers. These are people who buy other brands too. Only a tiny 26% comes from their so-called loyal customers, the ones who only buy Colgate. Now, if you're a traditional marketer, alarm bells are going off. This looks like a total disaster, a 5-alarm fire. It looks like Colgate has a huge loyalty problem on its hands. And here it is. This is the first big aha moment. That obvious interpretation, that Colgate is in trouble, it's completely wrong. The evidence, the science, shows us that Colgate's loyalty numbers are, well, they're totally normal. They're exactly what you would expect for a brand of its size. This isn't a problem, it's a predictable pattern. The real problem here isn't with Colgate's customers at all, it's with our old broken assumptions about how people actually behave. So, if our assumptions are wrong, how do people actually behave? Well, the evidence points to a brilliant description. We're mostly uncaring, cognitive misers. I love that term. It basically means we're not out there looking for a deep emotional connection with our toothpaste. We're busy. We have lives to live, other things to worry about. So we use these little mental shortcuts, heuristics, to just make a satisfactory, a good enough decision as fast as we can. Loyalty isn't about passion, it's about habit. It's a mental shortcut that saves us time. And look, this whole toothpaste example, it's not some weird one-off thing. It's actually a perfect illustration of a universal scientific law in marketing, one that applies to pretty much every brand, in every category, everywhere. It's called the double jeopardy law. And this is a really big deal. It's a cornerstone of evidence-based marketing. Here's what it says. Smaller brands get hit with a 1-2 punch. First, the big one, they have way fewer buyers than the big brands. And second, the buyers they do have are also just a tiny bit less loyal. They buy the brand just a little less often. A double whammy. Okay, let's see this law in action. We'll look at washing powder in the UK. So Persil is the market leader. 41% of people buy it. That's its penetration. Now, look at a smaller brand like Surf. Its penetration plummets down to just 17%. But now look at the loyalty column, the purchase frequency. It barely even budges. It goes from 3.9 down to 3.4. The huge difference is in how many people are buying, not how passionately they're buying. And this is not a fluke. Let's switch categories. UK shampoo. Exact same story. Head & Shoulders has more than twice the penetration of Dove, but their purchase frequency? Almost identical, 1.9 versus 1.7. Again, the loyalty difference is minuscule, but the difference in popularity and penetration is massive. Okay, just to really hammer this point home, let's jump across the pond to the US. We're looking at shampoo again. Different country, different brands, same predictable pattern. Suave has almost 10 times the penetration of a brand like Finesse, but the loyalty difference? It's basically nothing. You see, this isn't just a clever theory, it's a law. It's as predictable as gravity. And Byron Sharp, who is the author of all this groundbreaking research, he puts it really bluntly. He says the whole idea that your loyalty number shows some kind of special brand strength that's separate from your brand's size, it's just false. Loyalty is a consequence of market share, not the cause. So, okay, this is the big question, right? If chasing after this small group of passionate, super loyal customers is basically a dead end, I mean, it goes against a scientific law, then how on earth do brands actually grow? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple, and it's backed up by every single piece of data we've just looked at. Growth comes from one thing: penetration. It's not about trying to squeeze more purchases out of your existing customers. It's about getting more customers, many more customers, to buy you, even if they only buy you once or twice a year. Growth is just a fancy word for popularity. And hey, you don't have to just take my word for it, or even the market data's word for it. Let's look at what actually works in the real world of advertising. There was this huge analysis done of hundreds of award-winning campaigns, the best of the best, and the results are just stark. Campaigns that were trying to boost loyalty, they failed to win any kind of award 89% of the time. Ouch. But the campaigns that aimed for penetration, whoa, they were way more successful across the board. Let's just pull out the most dramatic number here, because this is wild. If your campaign's main goal was to increase penetration, you had a 21% chance of winning the top prize, a gold award. Pretty good odds. Now, if your goal was to increase loyalty, what do you think? That chance plummeted to just 2%. Let that sink in. Targeting penetration is literally more than 10 times as effective at delivering massive business success. The evidence here is just, it's overwhelming. Okay. So we've unlearned the old way. We've thrown out the myths. We've looked at the hard evidence. So now what? What does the new marketing playbook, the one based on science, actually look like in practice? It really requires a huge shift in how you see the world. The old way of thinking was all about differentiation, about persuading a small niche of loyal fans that you were better. The new scientific view is all about distinctiveness. It's not about being better, it's about being easier to notice and remember. And instead of targeting a tiny niche, you use sophisticated mass marketing to reach as many people who buy your category as you possibly can. So this new playbook really boils down to 3 main jobs. That's it. Number 1, improve your mental availability. That just means being easy to think of when someone's in a buying situation. Number 2, improve your physical availability. Be easy to find, easy to buy. And number 3, build and use your distinctive brand assets. I'm talking about your colors, your logos, your jingles, anything that makes people go, I know who that is, instantly. At the end of the day, it's all about being easy to mind and easy to find. All right, let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. What do you absolutely need to remember? First, brand loyalty isn't magic. It's predictable, and it just follows market share. Second, real sustainable growth comes from penetration, getting more people to buy you, period. So stop chasing that tiny group of heavy buyers and instead aim to reach all the buyers in your category. And finally, your main job as a marketer is simple. Be mentally available and physically available. Easy to think of, easy to buy. So I'll leave you with one final question to think about for your own work. Take a hard look at your marketing strategy. Is it still chasing that old myth? Is it trying to create a few passionate, committed lovers for your brand? Or is it grounded in science, just making it super easy for millions of people to have a casual, occasional, and very profitable fling with your brand? Because all the evidence, all the science says that is where the real growth is. Thanks so much for joining me.